Allora, siamo a una conferenza live, c'è Mary Fisher qui dietro.
For now. You look at for now.
Where you go?
Periscope live.
It's what?
Periscope live streaming.
That's a good thing.
Alright, I'm gonna get rid of my pizza.
Ok. Allora, ci sono pizza. Facciamo.
Hey Robin, how are you?
Pizza, free pizza.
Many times, but I always like wife who I know.
Sì, è di Wordpress, ma anche un po'.
Is that what you have to do?
Io prenderei un'altra fetta di pizza, ne avevo già mangiate 4. No, solo 2. Allora, possiamo vedere che questo coso sembra una chiesa. Infatti era una chiesa. Allora, 7, 7, 5, 5, 11. Dove andiamo a cercare il 10? Il 10? Che film è? Che film è? Ma non hanno capito. Adesso vedrete in diretta una conferenza di noi americani, e ci sarà anche la mia presentazione, che di solito alzatevi in piedi, battete le mani. Era la citazione di Indiana Jones 3. Ma infatti questa sembra una chiesa. Allora c'è 7, 7, 5, 5. Sono spettinati. Adesso fa 6 secondi. È uguale. Ma io ho taggato questa competizione tutte le volte, questa manifestazione, tutte le volte, se dovete twittare, twittate ora. Io ho twittato, no? Quindi sicuramente mi faranno un applauso che ho fatto tutta una roba multimediale. Hello, my name is... Allora, fatemi delle domande. Ma io vedo che lo stanno anche streamando, mi sa che fanno anche uno streaming, sta cagata, ma... Perché Marta è a casa? Poi ste cose, perché devo fare anche Marta? Abbiamo 2 lavori diversi, 2 orari diversi. Allora, sono arrivate le... perché praticamente sta cosa ci dovevano anche essere delle ragazze di Pom Pom di Dan Bilzerian, ne è arrivata già una sul palco, insomma. C'è anche Mirko Ponzio, salutiamo. Domani l'Apple Watch ce l'avevo nelle mie mani. L'Apple Watch l'hanno spedito oggi. Allora, fammi prendere confidenza con l'avambraccio. La gente dirà, cosa sto facendo quello lì? Sto prendendo confidenza con il polso qui. Allora, ciao. Volete andare a vedere le pizze? Andiamo a vedere le pizze.
Hi, Mirko. Hashtag this.
Olè, giustizia è fatta. Allora, questa è una conferenza. Dimmi tu che Mirko è in tilt da Periscope. Che è successo?
2 minute warning. 2 minute warning. We're about to get started.
Non mi vedi schifare, si lunga. Però non so, su Twitter mi è venuta il video taggato o no? Cioè taggato con JOMM o no? Secondo me mi devo comprare un MacBook Pro prossimamente, perché il mio sto sentendo che sta perdendo colpi. Allora, il panelist.
Yeah, this one we just did together. Normally Wordpress it's all about Wordpress. The online marketing data is about anything right? You know, websites, social media,
No, non so niente. State zitti che sta per iniziare.
yeah.
It's so quiet in here. Oh, there's one. Good. Hey, how are you? He actually jumped up and down. That was good. That was good. You ready to get started? Then let's do it. The mashup with the JOMM and JAX. Welcome to the Salem Center.
Yes.
You got your smartphone in your hand? Of course you do. Everybody does. We walk around like this all the time. It's what we do, right? Now it's time to check in so you can let everybody know that you're at the meeting tonight. You can look up on the screens. You can log in Facebook at the Salem Center, or you can do it on Twitter, hashtag the JOMM, or hashtag WPJAX. Go ahead and log in. Go ahead, go ahead. Go ahead. Elizabeth, are you logged in? All right, okay. All right, just checking.
This room is so big, it doesn't look like anybody's there. But I like this better than downtown. Yeah, it's cool. And easy. I think safer.
Who's doing Facebook tonight? Twitter. Who's doing Twitter tonight? You're doing everything tonight. You are. Well, folks, my name is Tony Mann. I work upstairs with Chesapeake Portsmouth Broadcasting. That would be The Answer, The Beach, the promise, the truth. Every afternoon I'm on there. Also, I do a thing on the internet. It's called Tony Man. It's a thing that runs out of the house. Technology is an amazing thing. Also, there's a free app too in the App Store, Google Play, and for those who even have BlackBerry, it's on there too. And I also do MC work, DJ work, voice production. That's TonyManProductions.com. I hope you'll have a chance to check all that out. Plus Facebook and Twitter, it's all out there too. So we are going to get started tonight with, now that everybody's checked in, you guys are done with that, right? You done with that? Hope so. We're going to get a word here from the JOMM. Kenny Harper, co-founder of Rock My Image and the current co-host of the JOMM. Kenny, you ready to talk?
Let's do it.
You got it? Welcome, Kenny.
Carl Rove do his rap segment. It is quite embarrassing. Carl Rove doing rap. You can check that out online. It actually happened. Marsh is doing it right now. Hey everybody, welcome to the mashup. Man, who's not drinking beer tonight? Because you need to go over there. There's some beer, there's some wine. Who is ready to get it mashed up tonight? All right, gotta feel the juice. That's the way I like it. I'm gonna stop right there. So this is the mashup, and we're talking about WordPress, the queen of networking. I'd like to give a special thanks. You gotta raise it up again. She'll be up here in a moment, but I want to give special thanks to Elizabeth Pamplone for helping coordinate this wonderful gathering at the Salem Center. Give it up. Give it up. How many JOMM board members? If you're a JOMM board member, please stand up. Please stand up. Please stand up. Jen DeVore out in the back, who greeted you in. Mr. Manny Torres. Mr. Robert Henry, sorry. Aaron Gordon, and Marsha King, who is here. Hello, Mary Fisher, she's over here. I can't forget Mary. You know I wouldn't do that. Didn't see you in that part of my head. Neat eyeballs there. All right, so I'm just talking for a moment. Who has not been to a JOMM meeting before? So we have some new blood. We tend to have a decent amount of new blood. The JOMM pretty much meets up once a month. It's typically the second Tuesday of the month. And we're currently looking for a new home to house the JOMM.
I like it here. Yeah, that's good one.
So we're going to look for feedback on how you like this place here tonight.
Yeah.
I've got a good connection that has contacts at this place. Also, we're working to build and grow the JOMM to take it to the next level. And we're looking for volunteers and people that would like to get involved in some of the programming or interact with some of the events. We have a board, but we also have different teams that can help out on a less commitment. So if you're looking to volunteer, if you're looking to get involved, please come talk to me or one of the other board members after the meeting. And that would be appreciated. So I'm not going to continue talking and walking. I'm going to pass the mic back to you. Okay. Thank you guys. Okay.
Thank you, Kenny. We have pizza back there. Did you guys get pizza? We need to thank the people that supplied the pizza tonight. Robert Half Technologies. Where's Paul? Paul? Come on up, say a few words, Paul.
All right.
How about it for Paul? Yeah. Pizza guy Paul. Paul and his pizza.
Adesso ci dirà, vendimi una pizza.
All right, so I appreciate you guys having us out tonight. If you're wondering why I'm speaking and not Mike Carpenetto, who you might be more familiar with, I lost a coin flip, so get excited there. But obviously, we're pretty honored to be out here sponsoring tonight. I've only been to one event each so far, but so far I really like the people, like the atmosphere. I've had a lot of fun at both events, and obviously I'm pretty excited about both of them getting together. Robert Half Technology, I specialize in the application development side, but we specialize in placement of top IT professionals, both on a contract to hire, really on a permanent basis. But Robert Half, in general, obviously specializes in not just technology, but accounting, office staff, legal, management resources. We specialize in a bunch of different areas of staffing. So if you're an employer and you're looking for some staff augmentation, either on a project basis or on a full-time basis, definitely get with myself, Mike Carpinetto. We have Dominic Iannico here as well on our technical support team. And if you are a candidate looking for employment as well in the same types of scenarios, we have Morgan Croft, who's one of our new recruiters. Definitely welcome her aboard. And she can definitely help you out and talk to you a little bit about some of our opportunities. I have about 5 minutes to talk, but I don't really have a ton more to say. So if you have any questions, definitely see us afterwards. Make sure to drink the beer, eat the pizza, because I definitely don't want to take any home, again, like I did last time. But, you know, definitely looking forward to the event tonight.
Thank you, Paul. I'm bringing my notes up with me to introduce the next person, because she's the reason that I'm here tonight. She's the reason that we're all here tonight. So she wrote a little something, so I'm just going to read it. Not to embarrass you or anything, Elizabeth, but that's okay. It's a word from WP Elizabeth is Jacksonville's networking queen and owner of JAX Computer Chick, and she runs 5 networking groups, including WP. WP meets every 3rd Monday of the month right here at the Salem Center. Here's Elizabeth.
Thank you. I already have a mic because Wes, I'd like Wes, please stand up. He wired us all up tonight for sound, so thank you so much. He came to our meeting last month, and I was like, bring all the microphones you have, because I need them all. So thank you so much for coming. My name is Elizabeth Pampalone, and I am the current leader of WP Wordpress Jacksonville. And we do meet here every 3rd Monday, and I love the group because there's just so many diverse people that come to it. We have developers, we have designers, we have plugin developers, a couple of people you're going to see here on stage tonight. And I just had so much fun putting this whole big event and getting everybody together in one room. I thought it would be really a lot of fun. So I hope you've met some new people, made some new connections. How many people have never been to a JOMM or a WordPress JAX meeting, like it's your first time ever for anything? That's pretty good. Wow. We had 80 people RSVP, so I'm so glad you guys came out because this is like the cream of the crop anyway. So anyway, please have some more food, whatever's left, and don't leave us with anything because we don't want to take it home, and just enjoy the rest of the night. Thank you so much for being here. Okay, well, I'm going to be up here again, I guess. I'm going to introduce our panelists for this evening. We have a WordPress panel. It's going to be speaking tonight. Karina Krieger, come on up here. She is from our WordPress group. Have a seat, darling. And also, we have Frank Corso. He's also from WordPress. He is a plugin developer, and Karina is a website designer. Come on up here. And we have Erin Gordon. Come on up, Erin. She is a board member on the JOMM, and she also does creative design and website design. And I'm going to be the moderator, so you get to listen to me more. Yay. All right, so how tonight's going to go, they've all sent me some questions, and I'm going to go over those questions with them, and then afterwards we're going to have questions from the audience. So if you think of something, jot it down, and we'll come to it at the end. So I'm going to have each one of them kind of introduce themselves and a little bit about what they do. And Karina, go ahead.
Well, I'm honored to be here tonight. I was very excited when Elizabeth brought this up as an opportunity because I'm a big fan of WordPress. I'm with Open Sky Web Studio. We are a WordPress shop. We do web development from start to finish, 100% WordPress, and also 100% Genesis, which is a framework which we'll talk more about later. But so yeah, that's us. Frank?
Hello, everyone. My name is Frank Corso. I own a web development agency in town called My Local Web Stop. We specialize in plugin development and customizations to plugins and themes. So for those who aren't quite familiar with what that is, essentially the really heavy code stuff that you need a lot of cool features or capabilities with your website, they usually contact me and they're like, Frank, can you build this crazy contraption for us? That's what I take care of.
Erin? I'm Erin Gordon, and I am a freelance web developer. I build in all frameworks. I have pretty much done everything. I specialize in WordPress because that's what clients prefer.
So if we want to have one more round of applause for the panel, thank them all for coming up here tonight. So we're going to talk about a couple of different options tonight. We're going to talk about plugins specifically, themes specifically, and also the business side of owning a WordPress kind of firm or working with clients in WordPress, and also the graphic design side, because there are some little things little tricks you can do with WordPress. So we're going to start with a question about themes for Karina. And one of the questions that I've heard is, what should we be looking for when you're selecting a theme on a do-it-yourself site?
Right. Just kind of for a sense of context, how many of you are working on your own WordPress site and so you're twiddling with your own theme and messing with it? Okay, so the majority, maybe about 70%. When you're looking for a theme, there's a lot out there, and they range anywhere from free to, custom, where you're paying thousands of dollars. There's a lot that are available on marketplaces that range in the $40 to $50 to $80 range, and there's a lot that goes on in between. So, because WordPress is so readily available and that volume is so large, I think this is a very important question. And what I would like to kind of just put out there is that not all themes are created equal. And I know our tendency is to say, free is great, let's do that. And it comes back to that, you get what you pay for sort of thing. And so I will encourage you to do some auditing on what theme you're using and what it does and how well it's written. My recommendation would be lean and mean. Like, there are themes out there that are very specific. There are photography themes that are like for the photography industry, and they are very feature heavy, and they do this and they do that, and they have their own short codes, and you think this is awesome. It's an all-in-one, and I buy it, and that's all I'm ever going to need. Then you get locked in, and you can never leave. That's the flip side of that. WordPress is meant to be almost modular. You have your core, you have plugins that do something and they do it well, and then you have themes that handle the visual and they do it well, and that's the best practices. So when I would choose a theme, I would choose a theme that does the visual well and doesn't attempt to also be a plugin, doesn't attempt to also be all things to all people, because you're going to lock yourself in, going forward. That's been my experience. I also think another thing you should really watch out for is security. WordPress is software. I mean, it's not, we think website's not a software. No, your website is a piece of software, which means there's going to be updates, there's going to be security issues, there's going to be maintenance that has to happen. So your theme being one piece of that also needs to be written by a developer who is actively engaged in maintaining it, in addressing security issues that may arise, that is responsive when you're going through a theme marketplace, and does this guy answer questions? Is he available? Is he answer timely questions? Are updates being released? When WordPress updates, does the theme also get an update? Like, those type of questions are going to be a hint to, if you're not a developer and you can't audit the security yourself, get a little street smart out there and read between the lines on whether the theme you're looking at is a secure one, because that's going to be a nightmare if there's a security hole in there you don't know about.
And I want to actually come to Frank on plugins. Are there specific plugins that work for security for WordPress? Kind of like what she's saying, you want the theme to do the visual and a plugin to do a function. So are there some plugins that do that?
Yeah, there's actually quite a few to choose from. I think most of us have probably used dozens of them, but there's probably a key few that work really, really well. The one I use on most of my sites is called iTheme Security. And that one's a really nice one. It's cool because it's called color-coded. You kind of go in and it says, hey, these are the really bad issues. These are really the somewhat bad issues. And these are issues you might want to fix sometime. So that one, it lays out really nicely. I really like that mainly because the support with iThemes, it's a really large company and they are phenomenal with their support. Anytime I've ever had an issue, I can call them up, I can text them, I can email them, post in their forums, and they've always responded within hours. It's a phenomenal team there. The other one that a lot of people use is called Wordpress. I believe that's the one we were talking about not too long ago, and that one's also pretty well. It's very similar in that aspect, and it takes care of most of the stuff for you. What's the best part of using a plugin as opposed to getting someone to look at security for you and things along those lines is the plugin you just install, set it up, and it kind of does everything for you. Every now and then it might post an alert, hey, this new thing came out, you need to do this now, but for the majority of it, the security plugins do everything for you, and it's not something you have to constantly worry about.
And Aaron, I wanted to come to you now. When should you update WordPress and your themes and your plugins? Because they're all going to start pinging you with all these little numbers on your WordPress screen, and you're going to go, okay, what do these numbers mean, and when should you do that?
Well, my philosophy on upgrading things is to upgrade them right after the first release comes out. Usually the second release is a bit less buggy. So I like to wait for that, and I set my servers to allow auto updates. I'm not sure how everybody else does, but that's how I choose to. And it notifies me, and then I check and make sure there's no cracks, because the way my philosophy is that it's like an earthquake. It's going to happen. You just have to roll with it and fix afterwards. Now I realize that's easier for me and the rest of our panelists because we're web developers and we can fix it ourselves. But if you don't fix it and you don't allow it to update, you're just making yourself more vulnerable to hackers.
So, Karina, how do I know when it's time to hire someone to help me design my site instead of doing it myself?
That's a great question, because we can tinker, we can get in there ourselves, and sometimes at some point you have to say, is it still worth my time? And that's more of a business decision, because it's not that you can't learn it and that you can't do it yourself. You have to ask yourself, is this the best use of my time? Do I need to be learning to do this myself? If you hit a threshold where it's just not doing what I want it to do. My recommendation when you are selecting a theme, if you are going to buy a pre-built theme and you are going to attempt to plug and play that thing and put it in, you're looking at the demo and you're looking at the screenshots and you're like, ooh, it's so pretty. And then here's what I recommend. That's the theme for you if what you see on that demo is exactly what you want to do. If they have 200 words right here, you are going to have 200 words right here. If they have a ginormous hero photographic image, you better have a beautiful photographic image and not buy the theme and then, well, I don't really have great photography. Why does it look so crappy? Well, you bought a theme that's centered around photography. You might not should have done that if you don't have the photography. So I find if you find a theme that the shape of it is exactly what you want, they say, oh, we can customize it. You're going to get into the customization and it's not going to do what you wanted it to do. But if it does what you want out of the box, then go ahead and run with it. If what you see in your mind and your vision and what you want to see happen is way more specific than that, my rule of thumb is that's when it's time to hire somebody. That's when it's time to say, listen, I have a very custom look that I'd like to see happen. This one has a real skinny, narrow logo, but mine is big and round. Why doesn't it fit? So that's when you would say, okay, this is not a good fit for the visual that I'm going for. Now it might be time to bring somebody in.
And Frank, if I can't find the plugin, then I really need all these features, like you were saying, and okay, I need it to do all these monstrous things. So what are my options at that point when I just can't find any plugin, paid or free, that works for me?
Well, that's a tough one because most of us don't want to spend money. So at the end of the day, most of us don't want to spend money. So unfortunately, though, if you can't find the plugin you're after, say you want something special, that short code to export all kinds of crazy photography that you want, or something similar, you have to first really look at the marketplaces, see if there's a plugin, look in the repository. But if there's not, then you have a few options. The best option is to find one that's the closest to what you want and contact that developer. In my experience, most of the time those developers, if it's a good plugin, they're like, hey, I can build you a slightly different version for X amount or whatever case, and it's usually much cheaper going that way than asking someone to build an entire plugin from scratch just for your site. For the financial aspects, depending on what you're after, some plugin developers would start off maybe a $50 charge. Oh, this is so close, I can just kind of move this over, do this for you, $50, you're done, you never have to worry about it. Depending on if you want an entire customization or redoing the entire plugin, it might be a bit more, but that's usually your best approach.
And Aaron, as a WordPress developer, I know we have some in the room here today. It's open source, and sometimes clients think they can do everything for themselves, which sometimes they can. I'm not dissing y'all. But how do you manage their expectations when a do-it-yourselfer comes to you and wants something that you're going to build?
Well, I'm a big advocate for not holding clients hostage, so I give over anything they ask for. I don't believe in holding things hostage, because when I need something and someone's holding it hostage for me, it gets very frustrating, so I will not do it to someone else. So I give over access and just let them try, and usually the case is that they can only post, or they might tinker with something, they might break it, but it's their money, it's their creative, I allow them to do whatever they want. Of course, I make good backups for when something gets messed up, we just roll it back.
Okay, Karina, how flexible is WordPress as far as a user experience and the site function and the size, also adding in their speed as well?
Right. WordPress, the reason I chose WordPress as the platform I was going to specialize in when I made that choice, because I looked at a lot of others, you know, the Drupal and the Joomla and the Concrete 5 we were just mentioning, if you've ever even heard of it. But, you know, I looked at all that, and the reason I went with WordPress is because of its flexibility. I have seen it do everything from e-commerce and do it well, to membership sites, to lead pages, to, you know, product features, to, you know, if you can, crowdfunding. I have a client now, we're building a whole crowdfunding site on a WordPress platform. I have a client that has multiple sites that are pushing 74,000 pages each, and WordPress is able to handle it. So I look at that and I think it can do a lot. Yeah, when you get to those sizes, you have to talk, you know, some server optimizations and database optimizations and things like that, but it can do it. I find it to be very extensible. Does it do everything, all those things right out of the box? Depends on your requirements. You may need to bring someone in for some of these higher level customizations, but the foundation of the code is in place, the security, the best practices, a lot of that stuff is in place, and the nice part is the content management part, where you can log into the back end, like you said, I'm not holding you hostage. I told a client today, you can log in, you can do anything you want, it is your site. So that's the beauty of doing that versus the old-fashioned HTML pages, and everyone had to call their developer to tweak the slightest thing. So that's what's nice. So I find it to be very extensible. When you get to the higher level customizations, you're going to want a little help if you're not a technical person out of the gate. But it can get there. There's most things it can do. Not to say it's all things to all people, but it can do a lot.
So with plugins, are there some plugins that I can use on my site to help it load a little bit more quickly? Frank?
There's several different techniques you're after, especially different types depending on what you're after, exactly what type of site it is. But some of the best practices is starting off with a cache plugin. And this is depending on your host, but for most cases, a good first step is finding a plugin that handles the cache for you, which for those who aren't so technical, essentially it just creates a photograph sort of your site, and anytime someone goes to it, they just kind of show off that nice photograph instead of having to load everything. So that's kind of what the cache does, and there's several out there that do that. W3 Performance is one that I use quite a bit. That's one of my favorites. And then the other side of that, and after the cache, is something called minifying. And essentially that's where it kind of takes all of your styles and your code and all that and kind of shrinks it down to bite-sized pieces so that user doesn't have to sit an hour to load all these. It's all kind of tiny files. And W3 Performance actually takes care of both those functions for you.
So, Aaron, as far as graphic design goes, WordPress can be very graphic heavy, especially depending on the theme that you choose. So what are some tips for designing for speed?
Well, as you mentioned, we're now trying to be more responsive, and if you guys don't have responsive sites, I would strongly suggest going that route in the next year. Google just came out with their update that said that if you don't have a mobile site, you're gonna lose your rankings. So it's important to start with a responsive template. Doesn't necessarily have to be a pre-built theme, but usually a responsive template is I prefer Bootstrap and she prefers Genesis. These allow you to not have to spend hundreds of hours testing your responsive actions. So that's the easiest and fastest way to get up and running, and then you just design your framework around it. You don't want to be spending all the hours that's going to take you to build your own responsive action.
And as far as responsive, I just want to clarify what that is. There's mobile sites and there's responsive, and I think everyone on the panel would agree sometimes those kind of get mixed up together. And mobile sites are actually building a separate site that is just for mobile, and that's kind of the way a lot of people do it if they want a certain mobile experience. And responsive is where you build one site that kind of resizes itself based on the screen it's being viewed on. So it's a lot easier to build one site and have it resized for you than it is to build two sites, and then when you update something over here, you got to go over here and update it too. So like she said, I would strongly suggest that everybody go check your theme, and if it's not responsive, check it on your phone, check it on your friend's phone, check it on someone's tablet, because you want to make sure that that is in place at least before the end of the year, because that could hurt you in the long run.
I think it's September that they make the cutoff.
Yeah, and April 21st is when they started implementing Google rank penalties if you're not responsive. Google pretty much said between the separate mobile site and the responsive site, we prefer responsive. They said that a couple years ago, and then they came out and said, we prefer it so much, we're going to actually hurt you in mobile search. So. They're saying you're going to rank better with a responsive site. I think what they're targeting is a duplicate content issue, because technically you are having two sites out there, and so Google is trying to keep things clean and lean, and they don't want you to have two sets of content out there. And so they say, well, we prefer that you do it responsive. And so.
And if you do have a mobile site, make sure that you have your Google robot tags that tell it to look for it. Otherwise, Google doesn't care.
I think if you have a mobile site, you're still going to be okay versus having a desktop-only site. I think that's where you're going to really start seeing you not show up on search on mobile. Like if you're on your phone and searching, your desktop site will just not start showing up after some time.
So I have a question about best practices for design. So when you guys are building a website, let's say your homepage, I want you to each tell me one thing that you have to have on your homepage. So we'll start with you, Erin.
This is a hard one. I do all kinds of different things. I would say images, and I like to one sentence exactly what you do right in their face as soon as they come to the site. I want to make sure that people understand within 5 seconds what the site does.
Frank?
I think that's definitely a good one. The next one I would say is a bit of color somewhere when they first load the page. Like if you have, there are some sites that are warranted to have all black and white, but for the most part, you want at least a little bit of color when they first load the page. That way at least it's like, wow, this isn't a super bland site. They want to at least see some color, whether it's with a photograph or even just text or a border or anything, just something where it has that slight flair to it.
Yeah, I would say a strong call to action, which is similar to what you're saying, like immediately, like what do you want them to do? And whether that be, and a lot of times that's your contact information. It amazes me how many business sites I go to and I'm hunting for a phone number, like seriously, so I think that
especially
should not be,
mobile, right?
Yeah, especially on mobile. I'm not here to browse your site, I'm here to contact you, and so make that easy.
And I would actually add to that, on the contact information, is to make the phone number actually a link.
Yes.
Because if I'm on my phone and I'm like, and I cannot get you on the phone with your phone number, on the computer, if you have Google Voice, it'll actually call through Google Voice. But other than that, it really doesn't do anything on a desktop version. But if you're on a mobile version, it's so much nicer to just touch the phone number and call somebody than have to copy and paste or switch back and forth to find the number. So I agree with having the phone number prominent. This is for all of you, and you guys can fight over who answered it first. What is the worst mistake you ever made in WordPress development?
My worst mistake was last week. No, I had a client use a different developer, and they developed 180 small websites that were all targeting different locations. And then that other developer went out of the picture And because he refused to support it going forward, he convinced my client not to run updates as they came out, in case it broke something, so nobody would have to touch all 180 of those sites. That meant last week all 180 of them got hacked. And I spent my entire week cleaning that up in somebody else's code, trying to figure out what in the heck. And so I had a long talk with the client, and I said, this decision to not run updates because you're scared you'll break something is a very poor decision. So I think that, yeah, maybe that was my mistake, was taking on the client. But no, I wanted to help him out because we do other great work together. But I think ever thinking that I can delay to run updates it's always bit me. So.
My worst mistake was building a 86,000 page website in WordPress. We ended up having to run, they also had around 2 million visitors per month, so we had to have 3 servers, 1 base and 2 load-bearing servers, and CDN cache and site cache, and we were spending $2,000 a month in server fees, and it still wouldn't load over 12 seconds, in under 12 seconds. I also tried 15,000 products in WordPress, and we could manage with 1 dedicated server, but it just still was very buggy.
From a developer's perspective, and definitely from someone who's finding a developer, one of the biggest mistakes that we tend to do is not clearly define the scope of the project. So if you're a user, you're looking for a developer, or you're a developer and you're looking for a client, if you don't clearly talk about what you guys are doing at the very start, like say Aaron was a user, Chief was like, hey Frank, I need this feature. I'm like, oh yeah, just I'll get started on it and then we'll talk about how we're going to do it later on. Eventually that communication is going to fall apart and someone's going to get hurt. So right from the start, if you're a user or a developer or whatever case, and you're getting into something, clearly define what you guys are working on and how it's going to work and everything about it before you start.
So I'm going to go through, Karina, tell us your favorite theme. Obviously I know what it is, but tell us your favorite theme and why you would choose that, and kind of maybe an example of a couple people who would most benefit from that.
Right. I use Genesis, which is a theme, but it's technically a framework. So it works in conjunction with child themes. So you can use a whole variety of child themes to complement the Genesis theme. And the reason I love Genesis, and you know, we've talked in WordPress JAX about this before. The reason I do is because I feel that it provides a really solid foundation. It's got security in place. It's got mobile responsiveness. You know, the whole HTML5. It's got really good SEO practices in place. I find my sites perform well, and the basics are there: the pagination, the navigation, the sidebars, the things that I would normally have to do on every single site are all taken care of. And then I customize child themes to go on top of it. So that's my favorite way to do it.
And Frank, plugins. Same question.
Favorite plugin?
Yeah, and maybe an example of somebody that might use that plugin.
Gosh, there's so many to choose from. The ones that I have on every single site, there's one called Gravity Forms, and I think that would apply to almost everyone here. Gravity Forms is an amazing form application. So if you want to create a contact us page, or maybe a quote page, or a product page, and you need a form on it, it has some elements to the side. You just kind of drag and drop. You want to ask for a name, you want to ask for a product, you want to ask for their address. You drag and drop it, it does it all for you. It's one of probably the best form plugins out there, and I think that would apply to almost everyone here.
Awesome. And Aaron, do you have anything that you would that you use on kind of every site, or something that you might want to tell people about specifically for WordPress?
Well, we've covered a lot. You know, I have to go back to security. I use security plugins on every single site, and I use cache plugins on almost every site unless they have very few visitors. And here, I use a lot of like images and stuff like that, but I make sure that they're responsive now based on percentages.
I think a couple of plugins that I've used recently and on every site is I actually use Infinite WP to manage multiple sites at one time. It allows you to kind of see all the updates that are coming through and things like that. And they do have a free version and they have a paid version, but it's really worth checking out if you're managing multiple sites. And then also, Meta Slider is one of my favorites because you can just put that thing anywhere. It's really a responsive slider that you can make at different sizes. You can use different types of sliders. It's really interesting, so I would definitely recommend everybody check that out. So we're going to go to questions from the audience now. I hope you guys have a few questions. I'm going to grab the mic and come down here. Who has a question? Kenny has his hand up, so I'm going to come over here to Kenny.
It's a little bit outside of WordPress, but it's definitely related. I'd like to get some insights on hosting. Hosting recommended for WordPress.
These sides go down. I like Host9. Specific to WordPress, I would say WP Engine is a good one. The guys there are awesome, great support.
Yeah, hosting is a loaded question. Everybody has their experiences and their preferences. I've recently started using SiteGround and found them to be really good. It's similar to WP Engine, a little bit more inexpensive, but it's a managed host. So you have all different types of hosting, and not to get too deep into it, there's this newer product out there called Managed WordPress Hosting, which basically means your hosting company is going to be running your updates, going to be running your backups, going to be in charge of some, and oftentimes they'll even handle your caching if it's a good managed WordPress hosting package. You pay a little more than your $3.99 a month shared hosting options out there, but you're going to get a lot more out of performance. So SiteGround's one I'm playing with.
And the one I'm using right now for most of my sites is Flywheel. It's another managed hosting thing. What's really cool about them is I offer 100% free migration to them. So if you're using a different host that's not quite satisfactory, they will move your entire site to them for completely free. They'll take care of all it for you. So, and I really do enjoy them.
The only one that I wouldn't recommend is there's a couple of them like Greenhost and I'm trying to think of the other one. There's several that are really, really cheap. Terrible security. They have like holes where if your neighbor gets hacked, basically you're getting hacked. And I clean sites all the time from it.
Yeah, if you're finding a solution that's saying $3.95 a month or something that's probably not one you want to deal with.
It seriously is becoming a huge issue. It used to not, and you used to be fine on the cheapest shared environment, but it is becoming a huge issue. It's sucking up a lot of time.
I'll second what Karina said about SiteGround. I actually have a site that was moved from GoDaddy to SiteGround, and they did it for me, so I will vouch for them. Okay, Bill has a question.
What about micro formats and other markup for screen readers and accessibility? How important are those these days?
I don't think I understand the question.
Like the schema.org? Yeah. Sure.
Oh, HTML.
Well, all that's very important, I think, going forward. I think that's a good thing to keep up with. Unfortunately, most of your themes and plugins out there don't discuss that in the descriptions. There are some, and the better themes definitely do, but your ones like the repository, the free ones, the plugins, you should start looking at that. I wouldn't say it's a priority today. Like if you're out there and you're like, wow, this is a great theme, but they don't mention any of this cool HTML5 stuff or screen reader stuff. I wouldn't say it's the end of the world, but definitely favor ones that offer those solutions. And that's going to be more adaptable in the long run, and that's definitely a better approach.
I would think your target audience would really matter in answering that question. And also keeping in mind, I think you're right, it's not highly supported by and large, but it's becoming more and more discussed. I know I was at WordCamp Atlanta, they had several breakout sessions that were on accessibility issues. And they were also mentioning that last year, for the very first time ever, WordPress non-English downloads exceeded English downloads. So that means the greater part of the world is more and more getting on the WordPress platform, and our ability to serve up our sites in, different languages, different, accessibility issues, servicing the different communities that are out there. I think that's more and more going to become an issue.
Okay, EJ has a question.
Yes. Is there? I'm not too familiar with WordPress, but from the standpoint object-oriented, is there anything you can include that in WordPress? And if so, can you make plugins?
Can you repeat that one more time?
Yeah, I didn't hear.
Object-oriented.
That's for you.
Object-oriented.
Object-oriented programming in PHP. Are you referring to PHP specifically? Is that or just in general?
No, just in general.
So actually, Bill and I were having a conversation about this at the meetup. WordPress, when it was originally designed, the language that was built in, they weren't really looking at object-oriented programming at the time. So it's more of a functional approach right now. You can define, if you're building plugins or you're customizing plugins and themes, you can build in an object-oriented approach, but you're going to hit that functional limit somewhere once you start dealing with the WordPress functions.
Should DIYers have any concerns with downloading plugins that
Yes.
will cause trouble on their website?
Yes.
The answer is yes.
I always, whenever asked this question, I say, make sure that it says it will work with your theme and your framework version, and check the reviews. If there's, if 3 stars and they say don't use this plugin, don't use the plugin.
I will say this: the WordPress.org has a repository on there with a lot of plugins in it. You can get plugins other places too, and if you're a DIYer and you just want this sense of security, WordPress.org has a level of auditing that happens for a plugin developer to submit a plugin. There's going to be some sort of checking that goes on. So they have on there the number of downloads, the number. You can see the change log of versions. You can see support forms. I would look at all that before if it has like 2 downloads, I'd be a little nervous.
You're the expert.
Oh, you ladies already pretty much touched on it. There's definitely an issue. You should always be hesitant. If anytime you have a flag like, oh, this is a little sketchy, or this part, then I would look at the next plugin. I don't ever hesitate. If I'm not sure, I don't install it. Because for the most part, the WordPress repository is great. You know when it's getting submitted that it's a great plugin.
That's true.
But when they're updating, they don't have to follow quite the same guidelines. So sometimes that update will break it, or sometimes later on they'll add something that's questionable. So look at it, check the support forums, the changelog, all what they were just saying. But if you ever have anything that you're like, that doesn't quite sound right, then I would move on to the next plugin.
Anybody have a question over here before we come back? Oh, got lots of hands. Come on.
In regards to that. Sorry. Just wanted to add in, keeping in mind the number of plugins that you add is important. And then also, you can install plugins, then turn them off, delete them, but that doesn't mean they're completely gone. Sometimes they'll leave stuff in your database. So if you're installing a lot of things and deleting them thinking, I'm not messing anything up, you could potentially be leaving stuff in your database if the plugin wasn't developed very well. So I wanted to point that out.
Thank you. Okay, go ahead, another question.
I currently use FeedBurner on my site, and I use it as a way to collect email addresses, and also so if I put a new post, people can receive it through their email. I've heard FeedBurner, though, might go away eventually, and I was just wondering if there's anything else you would recommend.
FeedBurner's got one foot out the door.
Yeah,
that
pretty
one's
much
on
all of RSS, I feel like, is going out the door.
I miss that. So
Something I recommend on most sites, RSS is great, and I'm a huge person. I was with Google Reader and the ones before that. I love RSS, but as it slowly moved out, a great system that's coming in is the email list. And I know a lot of people are like, email's dead, blah, 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 and all that fun stuff, but a way that I found with most of my sites and most of the sites that I build, having that email list and sending them out, like maybe a newsletter or your collection of posts or something, seems to be almost as good as the RSS system.
And you can sign up for like MailChimp and then set up an RSS feed, and it accomplishes the same thing. MailChimp, if you use an RSS campaign, it'll still, every time you post, it'll send an email.
Okay, another question.
So my question is actually a follow-up to the question about the number of plugins and related to speed on a website. So do you think that the number of plugins plays more into how fast the site is, or do you think it's the web design? So I guess the two. I'd like to hear both of your perspectives.
So there is no perfect number, and there's a variety of reasons for that, but it's the type of plugins you're installing. If you're installing 10 shortcode plugins, it's very different than 10 e-commerce plugins. Not that you would install them the same, but so it depends on the quality and the type of plugins first. But I would say, depending on your audience, depending on what things you're looking for, I want to do anything more than absolutely necessary. That's what I tell most people. If you need those 5, then that's great. If you need 15, then use 15. But I want to add 10 just because they look cool.
And I think design comes into that a little bit because, especially with a lot of people are like, I want to merge with mobile, so I want icons floating over here, then I want more icons down here, and that's a separate plugin, and now I want, you know, a feed with my whole Facebook box showing up over here, and that's another plugin. And I think you have to ask yourself, value added to the people who are actually using your site. It's kind of that whole thing, you know, when you get dressed and you're going out, you look in the mirror and you take off that one piece of jewelry, like, you know, what is the one thing we can turn back off? And really, we're fine without it. And I always do kind of an audit at the end of a project before we go live to go through every single plugin. Okay, do I have to have this? And I try to make it as lean as possible. And also, to your point, setting up a dev site or a sandbox site or a separate site to test things out so that you don't clutter yourself up with plugins you're later not even going to use. That will help keep it fast.
Do you have anything to add, Aaron?
Probably everything.
All right, another question.
Hello. My question is about the hosting. So are there any downside of having the WordPress site installed on a Windows server?
On a Windows?
Yeah.
On a Windows server?
I have none on a Windows server.
I have none on a Windows server. I don't suggest it.
It's not native.
The main reason I'm not going towards it is because if I encounter an issue, since so few people run on Windows, it's very hard for me to find the answers I'm looking for. So and that's just a majority thing. There's not a perfect answer there, but that's the main reason I stay with them.
Well, we do have a dedicated Windows server, so we have a WordPress site installed on that server.
It's not undoable.
You can definitely do it, and there's people I know that do it. I just have no experience in it.
How can you run PHP environment with another Windows?
You can.
You can.
It does
There's an
work.
install.
Yeah, but I have only done it once, and it was like almost 10 years ago.
You can install all the necessary components, the PHP, you know, the SQL, the databases. You can install all that stuff on Windows. I haven't done it in a very long time, so I can't really walk you through it, but it is possible.
Is any more questions? More questions? Well, I would like to thank the panel for their expertise and for coming out tonight. So let's give them a round of applause. Thank you so much. And we have information on WordPress Meetup about our members, and Aaron is a board member at the JOMM, so you can obviously find her information as well on the JOMM website. So
yeah, I just wanted to mention that I added all of my notes from tonight's meetup on the JOMM blog, so, and I have a lot of like helpful tools on there, so check it out.
Yeah, and it's same. I also on my I can put it on our site. I didn't.
Yeah, we can.
But it's also at openskywebstudio.com. It's all my notes from tonight plus some links to more stuff.
All right. Thank you guys so much, and I'm going to hand it back over to Tony and have our panel come down. Got some more things to do this evening. I'm going to give away some stuff.
Thank you, panel. Who wants to win a cruise? I'm not kidding. Who wants to win a cruise? Who's a part of NetworkandJax.com? Who has never been on NetworkandJax.com? Shame on you. What you need to do is go on NetworkandJax.com tonight or tomorrow. You need to sign up for the free 2-week trial. All right? It's a great site, great calendar on there, let you know what's going on around town as far as networking and that kind of stuff, depending on what you're looking for. And by signing up for the 2-week trial, you get your name for the cruise. Okay? The cruise is going to be given away tomorrow afternoon at 5 o'clock. So you're just going to Facebook page? Okay. The winner's name will be put on the Facebook page tomorrow at 5 o'clock or 5:01. So sign up. Make sure tonight or tomorrow you sign up on networkandjax.com. Sign up for the free 2-week trial, and then you're in the running for the cruise. Simple enough, right? So where are we going tonight? .com. Yes. Very good. All right. We also have some other stuff to give away too. Now, is this right or is this a typo? The amount of the ticket value? Is it?
Yeah, that's correct.
Really?
Yeah, that's correct.
I'm going to put my glasses on just to make sure. We have a relationship marketing seminar coming up this month. Tom Signorello has given us 4 tickets to give away tonight. They're valued at over $2,000.
Yep.
Yeah, combined. Okay. So we have 2 pairs. Who has a ticket? You guys got your tickets? Pull them out. Here we go. Here we go. Ticket number 423. That always happens. 4776.
Got it?
Yeah? Come on down. Come on down. Congratulations. All right, now we have another pair.
Can you say what it is again?
I can.
Thanks.
It is tickets for the Relationship Marketing Seminar this month. Don't know the date though. 29th. Thank you. And they're transferable.
Can't go.
423. No woo? There we go. 4742.
You got more time than you did.
Oh! That's you. Come on down.
Super close. I was 0 instead of 2.
How about that? All right, we have a goodie bag. Magic Hat Brewing Company. Got to be good. It's a brewing company, right? I mean, come on. Exactly. Yeah, we'll just skip the 423 part. 4, 7, 4, 6. Down in front. Bag of goodies.
Prossimo vinco io.
It's kind of a 6-pack. It's 5 of one and 1 of another. It's being that this was a mash. This is a mash 6-pack, kind of, right? 4, 7, 6, 3. Beer. You got beer. Okay, a JOMM t-shirt. Oh, I get the bulletin. All right. You're not eligible. Just wanted to get that clear. 4, 7, 3, 3. There she is. Okay. Now, I'm going to go to the back of the room. I'm going to go to the back of the room. You guys look this way. Look this way. Just look straight up there. Just straight ahead. Straight ahead. Okay. Here's what we're going to do. Now that I'm in the back, you're still looking up front, right? You're not turning around, right? Okay. All right. Who wants to give a 30-second shameless plug? Raise your hand if you do. Don't all do it at once. Who wants to give a shameless plug? Okay. Okay. You have the microphone for 30 seconds. You're first. She says, I'm first? Crap. All right. Go.
Hi everyone, I'm the founder and CEO of Growing Gears. You might have heard of us, we won one sport. Yay! So we are actually having a Growing Gears Engineering Day. If you know any students that are between the ages of 2nd and 5th grade, the first Saturday in June, you can sign up at our website, growinggears.com. They're going to do the first quest of Flynn, our pioneer yearling, as she travels through Brazil, and we're talking about stilts and pitched roofs. So we're going to talk about construction. So come and hang out. Bye.
That was a good rap. You'd be amazed how many people will do that. All right, he raised his hand over here. You want to? Come on. Can you do it in 30?
So we talked about getting involved, participating, volunteering. We're also working on doing some advanced programming. Mr. Robert Henry, stand up. Stand up. Yeah. This man is a dynamo, and he's helping to put together some advanced programming workshops. Hands-on, making it happen, click at a time. So if you have ideas for that, contact Robert.
30 on the dot. Anybody else? Okay, Frank. 30 seconds starting.
Hello again, everyone. I just wanted to throw out my plugin out there for WordPress. My company, my local web shop, we make a plugin called Quizmaster Next. Right now it has 80,000 downloads and almost 50 5-star reviews. It's the #1 plugin for adding quizzes and tests to your website, so if that applies to you, I highly recommend checking it out.
In less than 20 seconds. Nice job. Anybody else? Okay. Go.
This is not a shameless plug, but I'm on the board for the JOMM, and I'd like to have someone come out and speak about LinkedIn. If you guys know a pro in LinkedIn, we'd like to have someone come out and do that for us. Thank you.
Very good. Anybody else? Middle of the room? Okay. 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 Good.
Just to touch on that advanced workshop, we're going to only be talking about advanced things like internet marketing, SEO, pay-per-click, WordPress. Everything's going to be very advanced, and we're generally trying to shy away from noobs, but noobs are invited. Hate to use that word, but we're not going to have any noob questions, so if you're advanced, come to the meeting, and if you're looking to hire somebody, come to the meeting.
Very good. Anybody else? Go.
Hi, my name is George Biastri. I'm the Director of Marketing for a small company called Classroom Technology Solutions. 3 weeks ago, we launched a WordPress site, and we're pretty damn proud of it. But my designer and I are tired of looking at it and can't find anything wrong with it. It's probably because we've been looking at it for 5 months. I'd like to have some people look at it, poke holes in it. My team at the office doesn't seem to find the holes that I think are there. So would you please hit up ctsed.com and tell me what's wrong with my site. Thanks.
Very good.
Security or marketing? All.
Ready? 30 seconds, start now.
Just 2 things. My name is Ernesto Johnson. I'm actually a member of the Jacksonville IT server group. We're actually having a IT Pro Camp at the ITT Tech Institute. I believe it's June 12th. Please come out and support that. There's a lot of workshops going to be taking place. Also, if you know of any nonprofits that are interested in internet and an internet presence, I'd be more than happy to speak.
Very good. One more. One more. Back over here. "30 seconds, go."
Hello, I'm Sonia Snyder with the Jacksonville Business Journal. Everyone thinks we're a paper, but we're really a 24/7 news database, and we are digital and we are interactive now. I'm doing a smart reader about twice a month. The next one is the 21st, which is this Thursday at 9 a.m. at our offices downtown. And the next one after that's June 2nd, again at 9 a.m. in the BB&T building downtown. It's free. I'd love anyone to come who would like to know how to mine the journal in 10 minutes or less a day using the digital interactive version. Thanks.
Very good. Nobody went over the 30 seconds. Well done. Okay, now, you and Kenny would like to speak one more time? Okay. Go ahead, Elizabeth.
Well, I will start since he's playing with his phone or something. He's writing on himself. Okay. Don't leave him alone with a pen, just saying. Okay, so I just want to give a closing remark and thank everybody again for coming out tonight. Thanking Wes for hooking the sound up, who isn't here, but he helped us in the beginning of the night get everything ready. Alex helped. The JOMM obviously is half of the team that put all this together. And to Robert Half Technology. Hope you haven't fallen asleep yet, but I thank them so much for coming out and bringing us pizza. Also, I wanted to mention that I am a member of SCORE. Does everybody know what SCORE is and SCORE does? They do free counseling for small businesses. So, there is a marketing meeting next Tuesday night, which I'm going to be speaking at. It's $30 at the Chamber. And on the 27th, there's a free event they're hosting with Sam's Club. It's an all-day, 8 to 2, feed you lunch, really great seminar with a lot of really great speakers, and a social media panel, which Miss Marcia is a part of. She's part of the JOMM board. So if you have any time on the 27th, we'd love to have you come check that out. It is a free event. So, Kenny, would you come up here and say a few last words, and then we will wrap up for the evening, and we are so glad that you guys came out.
A few last words. Thank you guys, appreciate it.
Okay, thank you so much for coming.
Allora, per il momento è tutto, amici. Vedo che vi siete divertiti di brutto. I'm talking with my cup. It was Periscope. Periscope.
No, I was teasing you. It was good engineering.
Allora, facciamo un giro fino fuori e poi ciao.
But I've kind of taken my industry as far as LinkedIn, and that's all I do business with. So I'm actually teaching
survive the winter and
Niente, adesso vado a casa. Ho mangiato la pizza.
I made it a really good trade.
I know that happened. Did you have a card with you? Everyone's so used to seeing
Ma c'è ancora una fetta di pizza. Vediamo chi riuscirà a arrivare prima. Muoviamoci. Oh, sfrutto my fish e poi vado via. Stanno dicendo, ma quello lì parla con un bicchiere. Allora per il momento è tutto, ciao a tutti. Lo metto poi su YouTube per annoiare tutti i nostri fans. Ciao.